I'm actually gonna take a minute to introduce the folks here that will be doing the presentation. A fantastic lineup. We have Charles Smith, also known as Chuck in the industry, as National Sales Manager at SMA. He'll be leading the part of the presentation. Maybe Charles, if you want to wave your hands, say hi, come online.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Chuck.
Thank you very much, Guillaume, for having us here today. We look forward to the time with everybody.
Yeah, thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. And then we have a Tyson Schoelzel, and I probably butchered that last name, but yeah, Tyson is territory sales manager Northeast. Good fellow. On SMA 2, he's gonna speak about some case studies. And yeah, Tyson, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hi everyone. Thanks for having us, BayWa.
All right, and then we have a Justin Morgan from the West Coast, California. And hey, Justin, how are you?
Good. How's everyone doing? Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you. And then finally, but not the least, Mike Mahon, who will be answering and talking about technical questions. Technical training specialist, I believe, is the title. Mike, say hi to the audience.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us.
How are y'all?
Good. You're wonderful. Thank you very much for having us, Guillaume.
All right. Well,
we appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, without further ado, I think it's time that we jump in. I believe, okay. Chuck, I'm going to hand it off to you to continue the conversation. For the audience, there is a Q&A function or a chat function at the bottom. Feel free to type in the questions. We'll monitor this throughout the webinar so that we can answer your questions live. And at the end, we'll be taking some questions also that have come in privately prior to the webinar, or that will come in during the webinar that we won't have time to answer. So we'll reserve about 10 to 15 minutes at the end for Q&A. All right, Chuck, go for it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Guillaume. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Today, we're going to go over a number of aspects of SMA. We've already done the introductions. Thank you very much, Guillaume. We're going to talk about SMA as kind of a high-level overview of the organization, kind of how we are, what we've done over the span of SMA's existence. Then I will turn it over to Mike Mahon, who's our trainer, and he will go into a little bit more in depth into the product lines that we're going to be speaking to today, which are our Core 1, SunSpec, Rapid Shutdown, and our Peak 3 product. And then we have some wonderful case studies that Tyson and Justin will review. One on our Core 1 product, or a couple on our Core 1, and we have one on our Peak 3. So, and then at the end, as Guillaume stated, we will go over, we would love to get as many questions answered for all the participants. And if we can't answer it today, we will also, I know Jessica will be sending out this presentation along with maybe some answers that we are not able to cover today on the webinar. So for me, I'm the National Sales Manager for the channel. I've been with SMA for a little over 4 years. My team of 8 manages the US, Canada, and the Caribbean. And we look forward to partnering with you and BayWa to bring projects to fruition. Our mission, SMA's mission, is renewable energy will become more and more important through worldwide. Decentralized electrical energy supply and intelligent energy management are essential. Our mission is always to make the installation and operation of power plants simpler, more reliable, and safer. Above all, more cost effective. And since over the last 4 years of me being here and before, and as we move forward, we continue to try to remove costs and make it very easy and cost effective for our installers to install SMA around the US and the globe. SMA is, who is SMA? We're really the #1 inverter manufacturer in the world. We were founded in 91 or 81. We've been in the US for 20 years this year. SMA powers more homes than any other inverter on the planet. we have SMA is the only provider of inverters that have been running longer than our warranty, which I think is very key these days. When you're looking for reliability, looking to remove risk out of your business, the more you install, the more risk you take on, and you want to make sure that the warranty that is put out there for you, that the organization that you're partnered with understands that it's going to last that long. So I think that is one of the if you don't remember anything else, I think that's one of the key things, is that SMA has been around longer than our warranty, and we will continue to be into the future. Also, SMA was voted and has continued to be voted the #1 monitoring energy management solution worldwide. And another key thing is, as you know, all the SMA inverters are manufactured and engineered in Germany. And so I think that is a key aspect that we also bring to you as a customer, a reliable product that is manufactured in Germany and not in some of the other countries around the world. Some key company facts. We are headquartered in Kassel, Germany since 1981. Our headquarters in the US is in Rocklin, California, just outside Sacramento. As I said before, all of our inverters are manufactured in Germany. When we ended up having to kind of move our manufacturing facility out of the US about 4 or 5 years ago, to make sure that we were able to maximize the capacity of our state-of-the-art facilities in Germany. I think a lot of our customers thought that we kind of moved that into Asia, but in reality, we wanted to maximize the capacity at our state-of-the-art facilities in Germany. We have over 3,400 employees worldwide. SMA currently has the largest commercial market share in the US, which is one of the reasons why BayWa has asked us to participate in this call today. They stock our product and are looking to help us increase that market share as we move into 2021 and beyond. We are one of the only solar manufacturers that compete in all PV segments: residential, commercial, and utility. So that as an organization, we are very stable. So there are ups and downs depending on the market. We have the ability to weather those storms and stay financially stable and be able to, and we plan on being around for a long time. Perfect example, the pandemic hit in March of last year. It took a real hit on the residential market. It probably took about 25% of that capacity out of the market in 2020. We had a record year in the US. We hit our budget, and that was because we increased our sales in the commercial and our utility, even though the market as a whole kind of took a lull with residential. So we're very proud of that, and we look forward to supporting all of your projects in the future. And then we also have over 1,500 patents worldwide, which just shows that we continually are pushing the envelope and working on new types of ways to bring solar to the market. We're in 18 countries around the globe, which I'm not sure if most of you know that, so I just wanted to kind of point that out, that we're not a US-centric organization. We are able to support, if you have customers around the world, we also have the ability to support you where you decide to install projects. This one kind of goes back to a comment that I made earlier. It just proves that we play in all areas of PV. We're residential, we're off-grid, we're on-grid, we're hybrid, we're also storage, and we are in residential, commercial, industrial, and utility. So it just kind of proves the breadth of SMA and the strength that we bring to the market. And so hopefully we will be able to partner with you on projects in 2021 and beyond. This talks about the reliability and the testing that our product goes through. We have state-of-the-art testing centers, and we comprehensively test all of our units from when we're in the developmental stages all the way up until it is we hit the market and we are selling it in the market. We know that it is it's solid. It works in the desert, whether it's sand, snow, sea salt, it doesn't matter. We put our product through the regimen of tests. And then the other thing is that I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of is that we test, and we have a very high emphasis on quality. And as an organization, this testing is handled by SMA through the process. So whether it is in assembly or while we're packing it up and ready to ship it out to you, we are testing it all along the process by SMA employees. It is not being shipped out and being tested by others. These are some of the accolades that we've won throughout the years. I guess the one that's most pertinent to this presentation is the one that we won in 2017, which was the Intersolar Award for our Core 1. It still stands today that it's still a very cutting edge product, and we continue to build off of that. And in coming years, I know we're going to expand the Core 1 line, but right now we have which Mike will go through, we've got a very solid portfolio within the Core line. And lastly, but not least, what I wanted to point out is this is my sales team that is here to support BayWa. And if you've ever seen a BayWa map as well, I didn't want to steal Guillaume's thunder from maybe another presentation he might give, but our structure pretty much mirrors theirs. So we are there to support their sales team in the markets where they have their sales team as well. So after this call, I hope that you will check this slide out again, and wherever you are in the US, hopefully that you will get in touch with not only your BayWa rep, but also the SMA rep, and we can support you every step of the way. And the other thing I wanted to point out on this slide is that the salespeople are just not out there kind of on an island. We have support. We have support behind them, not only with our program manager that handles paperwork and contracts and rebates in Shannon Mahoney, but we also have an inside sales team to kind of answer technical questions if for some reason your local rep is not available. And then we also have a very high-end application engineering staff that can help answer those maybe more difficult questions or questions that maybe have not been maybe our sales team has not come across before. But our string inverter support, as well as our central inverter support, they're there to support each and every one of our salespeople in the field. So our salespeople are not alone, but also you're not alone either as you go to design or when you come across and you're able to win projects. With that, I appreciate the time talking about SMA, but at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Mahon so he can kind of go through a little bit more in depth about the three products that we want to overview for you today. Mike?
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chuck. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Good morning, good afternoon to whoever is out there listening. Definitely appreciate the opportunity to discuss our products. I am a technical trainer with our Solar Academy. I am coming up on my 10th anniversary with SMA. And it's very nice to be able to talk about the two products that I'm going to talk about today. When I first joined SMA, we had a very segmented portfolio, and now it is very clean with some really, really impressive devices. At the top of that list, I think, is the Core 1 commercial inverter. This device, you can see the image of it there. There are 3 power classes for this commercial inverter line: 33 kilowatts, 50 kilowatts, and 62.5 kilowatts. Physically, all of the devices look the same. They are all rated UL listed up to 1,000 volts, as they are commercial devices. The engineering design that went into creating this product was primarily focused on commercial rooftop applications, but this device works very well in lots of other applications like carports, ground mounts, to great effect. But again, a lot of engineering work went into creating a inverter that should incorporate really all of the expected balance of system components that you would run into in a commercial install. On the US-41 line, you can see the handle for the DC disconnect on the side facing the screen. On the opposite side of the device, there's a built-in AC disconnect as well on this device. And the input structure is there are 12 string inputs to each and every Core 1, broken up as 2 string inputs onto 6 independent tracking channels. Each of those tracking channels is handled independently by the inverter. So in essence, it's like you're getting 6 inverters in each box. The maximum 2 strings per input channel also provides the benefit of not needing any series input fusing. So there's no combiner box needed, no worries about fusing, what to install, what to stock for spares for O&M. So again, all required balance of system components we're trying to incorporate into the box. As Chuck said, one of our missions is to provide very fast, very reliable installs. And this is to that point. We're trying to incorporate into the body of the inverter these balanced system components. So there's no extra wiring, no worrying about placement of an extra device near the inverter. Furthermore, this is designed to be a freestanding inverter. No need to worry about building a mounting rack, or do I have appropriate parapet wall space to hang a very large, heavy inverter, intended to be able to be placed whatever is the most appropriate location on that commercial rooftop. The DC input design, those 6 independent tracking channel inputs, you can see on the 3rd bullet point, each of those has a very, very wide operating range from 150 volts up to 1,000 volts DC. So whatever module type you may be considering using, wherever the install location is for the temperature range, you should have a wide range of appropriate string lengths. Again, coming into each and every one of those 6 inputs, these string lengths can be different on those 6 inputs. So great amount of flexibility for design to work around skylights, stairwell access, whatever shade objects you may have on the rooftop. If you need to just carve out a walkway for a firefighter due to code, very, very easy to accommodate that each and every inverter. The inverters, the change from the US-40 to the -41 model might seem a small number change. It brought in the 33 and the 62.5 kilowatt power classes into the Core 1 line, but also introduced built into the inverter a SunSpec certified rapid shutdown transmitter that makes compliance with all of the requirements of 2017 or 2020 NEC 690.12 very, very straightforward. We'll show the other piece of the compliance puzzle on the next slide, the SunSpec receivers, but the transmitter built into the inverter makes it very simple for compliance. All an installer needs to do is, with the receivers at the array, turn on the transmitter in the Core 1, and then you have your compliance. So we'll go into that on the next slide. But the benefit of having this SunSpec certification for rapid shutdown and having code compliance devices at the array, we are leaving the energy optimization in the Core 1 inverters. And that's what Shade Fix is all about. That is an update to the maximum power point tracking algorithm to ensure that each and every input on the Core 1 is being worked at the highest possible power point, even in conditions of partial shade. And that is all driven as a sweep function in the inverter. It doesn't require any module level power electronics to achieve. So it provides the flexibility. If you're using this in a carport installation, rapid shutdown is not required. You simply don't buy the rapid shutdown receivers. You still have the Shade Fix optimization in your Core 1. You simply can tailor each and every install to the exact requirements for full code compliance. Bullet points I don't have on the slide, but I think are worth mentioning. The Core 1 line has definitely been certified to the new UL 1699B Edition 1 AFCI requirement, has been for over a year. So definitely on the cutting edge of all safety certifications. And this product, along with the Peak 3 that we'll talk about in a few slides, are both eligible and supported by our Smart Connected free service program. Chuck, if you can go to the next slide. So just a quick discussion of SunSpec, why SMA is going this way for code compliance. We think the use of simple code compliance devices, that is the rapid shutdown receivers at the array, are a very good way to address code compliance. Those devices are simple shutdown switches, in essence. They don't need complicated power conversion electronics. In a large commercial install, there may be hundreds, if not over 1,000 of these devices spread throughout the array. We don't want installers have to be chasing failed MLPE devices. So we want to make them as simple as possible for full code compliance and nothing more. The benefit of going with SunSpec as well is that this is an industry standard, an open standard. The SunSpec Alliance, SMA, is a part of this alliance, and the SunSpec Alliance published this open standard for power line communication signaling to comply with the rapid shutdown requirements. The transmitter built into each and every Core 1 has been certified by SunSpec to comply with that open standard, and it is responsible for putting the keep alive signal on the DC conductors that are going between the inverter and the array to send that keep alive signal to the rapid shutdown receivers that are at the array. And those devices, again, are only responsible for monitoring that that signal is present. As long as it is, they'll allow their modules to participate in the array, but the Core 1 with shade fix will dictate where to maximize energy production. If the signal is turned off by the transmitter in the Core 1, very rapidly, the receivers will see that that keep alive signal has gone away and will isolate their modules from the string they are part of. So you'll have full code compliance, all the voltage requirements within the array for 2017 and 2020 code compliance. SunSpec provides also the benefit that this is not a private standard that SMA has developed in its own little silo. This is an open source signaling protocol that many vendors can make products that are tested to be in compliance with. So the certification by SunSpec says that, okay, this product, maybe it's a transmitter in the SMA inverter, maybe it's the receiver, comply with this open standard signaling protocol. And we'll see on the next slide that we have multiple devices that can be chosen for the receiver elements to be paired with the transmitter built into the Core 1. So there is the more variety of options and choices available, rather than if SMA tried to control this and make this some proprietary signaling. So Chuck, I think the next slide. So these two devices, and I want to add some words, unfortunately. You'll see the title of this slide is SMA Compatible SunSpec Certified Rapid Shutdown Receivers. Sunspec.org takes care of the certification of devices to their standard. So they have a list on sunspec.org that says these are certified devices. The JMS-F and the AP Smart device that we're showing, both are on that list. SMA goes one step further. We know that the certification from SunSpec covers all of the requirements for compliance with 690.12. SMA wants to make sure that use of these devices in no way compromises the other safety functions and all of the operating characteristics of our inverters. So there is further a SMA compatibility document, which is linked on this slide, that says these devices not only are certified by SunSpec, they have gone through SMA's compatibility testing and are fully compatible with all of the inverter functionalities while providing full code compliance for rapid shutdown. Both the JMS-F and the AP Smart device are on that list. Both are available from BayWa, so you can choose. The only thing we would ask is that if you're using them in a project, each inverter has only one type attached to it, but you can mix and match otherwise. So for a certain project, maybe the JMS-F is better fit, easier to find, easier to source, don't know. But the AP Smart may also work for other projects. And again, the benefit of the SunSpec open standard is that you don't have to wait for SMA to produce these devices. There is an ecosystem out there that is being tested for simple compatibility, and we're adding more and more devices to this list all of the time. Chuck, I think now it's a good segue. We'll kind of change gears from a commercial inverter that was designed for maximum design flexibility on a constrained commercial rooftop to the Peak 3. This is a 1500 volt rated string inverter that is intended for large scale ground mount distributed generation facilities where the design of the array is assumed to be far less constrained, where we can have many, many strings that are the same length, the same orientation, feeding these inverters. The peak 3 in the US is either a 125 kilowatt unit that outputs at 480 volts AC three-phase, or a 150 kilowatt unit that outputs at 600 volt three-phase AC. Those are not interchangeable, so based on the voltage you want to tie into, you would select the power class. But again, these are high power inverters, and they are designed as a mini central. So this is really a utility scale string inverter. And so they are designed with a single tracking channel. Again, the assumption is that we'll have the ability to have many, many strings of the same length, all the same orientation, feed each inverter. But these, while they seem large for a string inverter power class, they're very small if you compare them to SMA central inverters. These are much smaller power conversion units, easier to manage. They are also standard off-the-shelf devices. There's no customization, which is in complete contrast to our central inverters. So if you built a 2 megawatt system, rather than having a single 2 megawatt central inverter, that if it fails or has an issue, as long as it's offline, there is no power production from the system. If you break that up into multiple of these peak 3s, if there's an issue with one inverter, overnight, a crew can come out, you might have a spare on site. They can swap out the inverter. You have all of that flexibility for that smaller power conversion system, high efficiency. The 600 volt, 150 kilowatt unit has a 99% CEC efficiency. So that's not a peak efficiency, that's CEC weighted efficiency over lots of loading ranges, lots of voltage ranges, 99% efficiency. So designed for that high efficiency, the benefit of 1500 volt strings, long strings, so fewer strings in parallel in the combiner to the inverter for the same power, with an off-the-shelf device, very easy to source and place. Along the lines of plant design with this peak 3, we would also say that you would have benefits from this architecture by placing more of the inverters together in a centralized plant design, as if you had a single central inverter. Putting multiple of the peak 3s close together means you will provide the maximum benefit for the system owner. The DC power, the power is transmitted at the DC side for longer distance at higher voltage and thereby lower line losses than on the AC side by having all of the inverters close to the point of interconnection. That lower voltage AC run will be shorter. You'll also have all of the inverters close together, very easy communication connection and very easy O&M benefit. So it provides all of the benefits of the 1500 volt utility scale plant design. If you utilize this centralized architecture, you get all of the benefits of having smaller inverters, but the benefits of the layout design. So a very powerful device. This product is, of the ones that we would talk about for our US portfolio, the newest, but very quickly shot past a gigawatt of installed capacity. So it is being enthusiastically adopted all over the world. And I think the project highlights will showcase that. If there are any questions on this, I'd be happy to take them, but I think that is the end of my section, and I'm happy to hand off.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so not so much of a case study or anything like that on the Core One. You can go to the next slide, Chuck. But I just want to kind of show some examples of Core Ones being used on a couple sites, courtesy of Enable Energy, which is awesome. But this in particular one is a rather large rooftop, but this is all using SunSpec devices. It's about 1.6 megawatts AC, about 139 DC. So a little still under the 1 to 5, but you can go up to a 1 to 5 with SMA products as long as you're not exceeding 1000 volt, of course. And one thing on this one that's really nice, you do run into a lot of folks that are trying to do any kind of commercial storage. And right now, the real usable units that are out there are AC coupled, and they're like Tesla and a few other ones. But one thing to really note is SMA products really do pair well with these other systems. I've seen other solutions try to use an AC coupled battery, doesn't really integrate as well, but it just sometimes the inverters don't play nice with them. SMA does. We do have a lot of control with our system, especially using our data manager, which was the replacement for the cluster controller, which does a lot more than just aggregate data into production. We can do a lot of things like zero export, limit export, all these other things inside that data manager. So it plays really well with other systems. You can go to the next slide, Chuck. This is another rooftop one, and why I want to show this one, just because this is a couple Core ones, but even though the cores do come with their own feet, as you can see in that center picture, instead of, because a lot of times in California, we still have to deal with seismic issues. Some folks will just use the feet and they'll use like a little puck just to secure it. Or sometimes they'll use some strut like this and bolt into the bottom of the core one where the feet would go to have it to be a little bit more secure. Whether someone's doing it for security or if the AHJ is concerned about seismic issues, people can get pretty creative about mounting them that way. Just as long as you don't use too long of a bolt, that's totally fine to mount one of those. But pretty much that's what I have on these ones. Both of them use SunSpec devices. It's the same install for whether you do SunSpec or not, just like Mike said. It's literally just whether you're clicking the, a tab saying SunSpec or not, like on the 4th step of commissioning the inverters.
All right, thanks, Justin. I think that means I'm up. Hi, my name is Tyson Schoelzel. I'm going to be taking you through a project overview with our Peak 3 inverter. So a little bit about me. I've been with SMA just shy of 4 years now. I'm the sales manager for the distribution channel under Chuck. I cover the Northeast from my home base here in New Hampshire. And my goal is to make sure that our mutual customers are always very well supported so their projects go smoothly. And with that, I enjoy working with several folks on the BayWa team. And so Revision Energy is one of our mutual customers, and they operate in Maine as well as some neighboring states. So Revision began using the Peak 3 inverter on their larger ground mounts shortly after the product launched a couple years ago. And Dirt Capital is a multi-megawatt solar farm that offsets about 85% of the energy for municipal buildings across 5 different towns, including a school. The project is located in Skowhegan, Maine, and Dirt Capital employs about 21 SMA Sunny high-powered Peak 3 125 kilowatt model inverters. And you can see in this leftmost picture the form factor for the Peak 3. Revision has taken advantage of the design concept that Mike introduced, which we're promoting for the Peak 3 on these multi-megawatt ground mount solar farms. This is a centralized architecture where the inverters are co-located together near the point of interconnection and or transformer pad. So if you take a look at the center photo at the bottom, you'll see the Peak 3 inverters are indeed co-located in a centralized fashion. So by doing this, Revision is delivering more of the AC nameplate capacity to the grid with fewer efficiency losses than would be suffered by distributing the inverters throughout the array in a decentralized fashion. So you can read more about the advantage of a centralized plant architecture with the Peak 3 in our white paper, which can be found on the Peak 3 product page of the sma-america.com website. I do encourage you guys all to go visit that to learn more about our products. So this brings me to the production curve you can see at the top of the slide. Dirt Capital is a 3.9 megawatt DC and 2.6 megawatt AC power plant, which translates to 150% DC to AC design ratio. At this high design ratio, which you might also know is an inverter load ratio or ILR, you can see here that the PV system is able to achieve maximum output relatively early in the morning around 9:30 a.m. and then it stays there until relatively late in the day, about 3:30 p.m. This is about 6 hours of maximum output, which is fantastic. It's truly a beautiful production curve that we're seeing in this screenshot, which is taken from SMA's NXOS Sunny portal, which is our remote monitoring website. So what I've done here is use our Analysis Pro feature in NXOS Sunny portal to demonstrate that each of the 21 inverters is yielding its full nameplate capacity of 125 kilowatts during this entire stretch. You can barely make that out in some of the imagery there. So yeah, Dirt Capital's Peak 3 inverters are delivering this beautiful production curve day after day. And these screenshots were just taken from last week. So Revision has capitalized on the ability of the Peak 3 inverter to accommodate very high DC to AC ratios. And at Dirt Capital, Revision has also taken advantage of SMA's NXOS Sony portal to activate a monitoring feature called Smart Connected, which Mike alluded to earlier. Smart Connected is SMA's free proactive O&M assistance program that helps to mitigate truck rolls and maintain maximum power plant availability. So by remotely identifying and diagnosing any errors that may be discovered in the PV system, SMA can automatically trigger an RMA replacement inverter or an inverter component without revision ever rolling a truck or lifting the phone to call us. And so with SMA Smart Connected, revision is able to reduce any potential downtime, which in turn is going to maximize your kilowatt hour production and performance ratios. For further rationale in the centralized plant architectures or for elaboration on how SMA inverters are purpose built to withstand these high inverter load ratios, please do consult one of your BayWa reps or your SMA rep, or you can attend Solar Academy webinar with Mike Mahon. For more information on this project, you can go to the Portland Press Herald article entitled Maine's First Multi-Town Solar Project. And so with that, I'll close in saying that Dirt Capital's excellent design and the use of this dependable Peak 3 inverter will deliver huge energy offsets along with the benefit of reliable renewable energy for decades to come. Definitely want to thank Revision for using the Peak 3 inverters and sharing these photos. And then a special thanks to our friends at BayWa for their involvement in helping to make this project happen. So that's it from me.
Thanks, Tyson. And thank you all for listening to our presentation. Again, SMA America in Rockland has been around for 20 years this year, and we're excited for the next 20. But at this point, I think, Guillaume, I think there may be some questions that we would like to answer.
Yes, absolutely. There's several questions from the audience. The first one came from Brian. It says, are you going to integrate the AC and DC disconnects in the Peak 3s? Maybe Mike, if you take
yeah, I'd be happy to grab that one. I would say probably not. As Tyson said, we have generally advocate to all customers the benefits of the centralized plant architecture, but it's certainly possible to have the Peak 3 out by the array in a distributed layout. So if that's the case, generally there would be a disconnect in the combiner box right near the inverter. So the flexibility of if additional one is needed is kind of left to the customer. And the same on the AC side. With a centralized layout, there may be a combiner panel very close where the breaker could serve as an AC disconnect. Maybe a separate AC disconnect device is required, but we really are going to leave it up to the customer for that. So likely not, you would not see those integrated into the Peak 3 line.
Thanks, Mike. Other question, maybe Tyson, see you on the video, so I think this one might be for you. Why did Revision use the Peak 3 125 instead of the 150?
Yeah, that's a good question. So at the time of their interconnection application, they were behooved to go in at 480 volts AC. And so the Peak 3 offered that option, which was fantastic for them. They've since been designing a lot with our 150 kilowatt model in medium voltage interconnections.
Gotcha. And I think there's another one on the Peak 3, so I'm going to keep you on the line before you can go. Smart Connected sounds like a great feature. Can I take advantage of that if I use a third-party monitoring system?
Yeah, that's a great question too. We get that a lot. So, you know, a lot of stakeholders might mandate that a project has some sort of third-party monitoring solution. If you notice in the picture on the case study there is an also energy box in the corner. You can barely see that far on the right of that picture at the bottom. So they are, or Revision here is indeed using also energy and simultaneously running SMA's NXOS Sunny portal in the background. And we strongly recommend that customers do that, if for no other reason than to take advantage of Smart Connected, which again, it's a free feature and it's going to really help to increase the uptime of your power plant. And you can also have automatic updates running in the background, which will make sure that the inverters are operating on the latest platform.
Good stuff. Good stuff. There's one other question, not for the Peak 3, maybe it's for you, Chuck. And this one is around rumbling of a longer lead time or timelines for the JMS units. Wondering if you could speak a little bit about that, maybe lead time and, you know, stocking capabilities, availability.
Yeah, the JMS product does have a longer lead time right now, and we're working with, well, in this particular case, we went to BayWa a number of months ago and let them know that we were going to have extended lead times based on the capacity. JMS organization that we partnered with is ramping up their capacity. However, as they're ramping up, our demand went through the roof for the product because we decided to not partner with our old MLPE company. So in that case, the demand went up and our capacity kind of stayed level, but they're starting to ramp up capacity. So we went to BayWa a number of months ago, and just so you're aware, they've doubled down on not only SMA, but they've doubled down on the fact that they believe the Jimthy is the way to go in the marketplace. And they will have approximately, over the next 4 months, they're bringing in approximately, I think, 60,000 units. So if you're looking at projects and you're looking at partnering on those projects with BayWa, they will have not only SMA, but our rapid shutdown MLPE to go with that. So hopefully that answers the question.
It does, yeah. So essentially, it's a little bit of selfish plug here, but if you want JMS units, talk to your BayWa rep. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
There's more technical questions, or not technical, but one question we get a lot, us sales reps at BayWa, is how to mount the Core 1 for carport installations, since they're a little bit more cubical than most inverters. How do you think about that?
I'll answer it real quick, and then Mike, if you have anything else you'd like to add, that's fine. But we do have a mounting system that will attach to kind of like towards the top part of a canopy underneath on a carport system. We also there is a company that does a lot of carports and is standardized on our Core 1, and we actually just got a few really cool pictures of they kind of just use they kind of made it themselves, and it looks very clean, and it makes it look like it belongs underneath the carport. So what we'll do is we will make sure that we get those pictures to Guillaume and Jessica, and when they send out this presentation early next week, we'll also send you the pictures of this how they've set up this mounting system for the Core 1 on carports. And if you have any other questions how they did it, we can connect everybody together so you guys can get the proper training.
Nice. Mike, do you want to add anything? Or
one other thing I would add, I think Chuck said it perfectly. Generally, it's been left up to kind of the installer to figure out what they're working with for carport stanchions, how they want to mount it, and how they want to do that. There is also, we showed a picture of the Core 1, all of the DC connectors are there at the body of the inverter. If anybody has a requirement based on the height on the carport that the inverter is mounted, or just physical protection of the DC wiring area, we're capable of providing kind of a cutout for a sheet metal shroud that can be fabbed by the installer to provide that kind of additional protection. So if you have any type of questions, concerns about kind of cosmetic or physical bits for the install, reach out to any of the sales team or the application team or myself.
And the pictures that we will send has a picture of the shroud that's put around the wiring. So that should help anyone, whoever asked that question.
And there are a couple of questions in the Q&A pile. I can probably address a lot of those. There's a question from Thomas: what range of inverters do you have for 3-phase 208 grid services? And I would say generally that would be kind of dependent on project size. The Core 1 line is 277, 480, 3-phase Y only. So if you're using that, there would be a transformer. If it's a smaller system, potentially having Sunny Boys connect line to line on the 208 grid would be a good application. I know Tyson has a lot of customers that have gone that way. So it's going to be probably size dependent, whether or not we would direct you to the Core 1 with a transformer or potentially Sunny Boys. Another question from Bruce: are the AP Smart RSD PLC devices compatible with the Tripower 24,000 TLUS? So the Tripower TLUS line never had the SunSpec transmitter built into it. So that definitely, and that product has been discontinued. So we definitely didn't go through compatibility testing for that. There are other ways for compliance. So if you have a question about needing 2017 or 2020 NEC compliance with the 24,000 TLUS, I think reach out to anybody on the sales team or the apps team. But the AP Smart device specifically, no, was not tested for use with that inverter. Joshua's question, we'd like to install Core 1 product inside. How would you recommend transitioning from THHN to MC4 connectors while still protecting the conductors and complying with NEC? So I'm going to unpack this, and if I misunderstand your question, please correct me. The connectors on the body of the Core 1 are not MC4. They are Amphenol UTX connectors in the box, the shipping box with each and every Core 1. We provide the mating Amphenol UTX connectors and ferrules for crimping on home run wires. So all of the body connectors at the inverter, independent of what module connectors or wires you're using coming in, you should be able to fully comply with the 2020 code that requires identical connectors from the same manufacturer. We're providing you those connectors. So that at the inverter connection should be no problem at all. Hopefully that's answering the question. If you're coming in with MC4, Amphenol, whatever transition, if you need to, again, 2020 code is requiring identical connectors. So if you have an MC4 and you need to come off of that MC4, it would be an MC4 on one end. And again, we're providing you the Amphenol UTX connectors for the other end to mate at the inverter. So hopefully that answers your question. If it didn't, go ahead and let me know.
It doesn't seem like it's coming back, so we'll see. We'll wait a couple more minutes. But
no, it's a great question.
Questions out there, though. Another question around peak 3. I believe we had some peak 3 or Core 1. Let's see what we have. How is the commissioning different? Oh, it's actually not about the peak 3. How is the commissioning different when using SunSpec RSD devices versus no RSD devices? Is there any difference on the commissioning?
Yeah, I think I can handle that one as well. I think Justin had talked kind of a little bit about the commissioning. The transmitter, the SunSpec certified transmitter in the Core 1 isn't turned on by default from shipping from the factory. So if someone is using it, there's a very simple commissioning process, and depending on where you are, that commissioning process also allows for setting of, say, California Rule 21 or Hawaii or Northeast ISO settings. So it's a very simple several screen process of just making some selections. One of those screens is completely dedicated to rapid shutdown. So if you need to use the transmitter, you simply choose SunSpec shutdown from the menu that turns on the transmitter. If you don't need it, you just click save and next on that screen and make no selection. So it's a minimal change. You're going through the same installation flow, but very, very easy either way.
Nice. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I see, Chuck, the presentation, you killed the slides. I personally want to thank you all, Chuck, Mike, Justin, Tyson, for coming on board on this this lovely April Fool's Day, and it was no joke to have you all here, and you did really well. So thank you very much for your support, for being on board, and yeah, I think overall as
a couple more questions have popped in the Q&A. If you want me to grab those real quick. Sean says, does JMS-F require a screw to attach the module frame, just the clips? So yes, there is an included screw. And so if you see on the data sheet, you'll see where that's intended to use to mount through a module frame mounting hole. And if you don't have a module that has such a frame, we have a tech note that talks about an alternate mounting method. So the screw is used to compressively hold it against the frame. So yes, there is a screw that should be used to secure it. The clips, you can kind of see the teeth on them. They're kind of for the grounding, but that screw provides additional security that it doesn't walk off the module frame. Joshua, follow-up questions regarding free air conductors and how to transition from conduit to the Amphenol connectors. Okay, so that one, I think maybe I might actually have you follow up with us offline, talk to an apps team. I'm assuming then you're saying conduit is coming down, you're going to free air connectors to make the bulkhead connection. So yeah, maybe that could be a little more detailed follow-up, because I'm not sure I understand the exact concern. So apologies for not having a direct answer, but I'm more than happy to follow up.
And I think we can connect to you. We can connect
perfect.
you two with Joshua and Mike together. All right, and more questions coming in, or should we wrap this up? We technically have another 7 minutes before this meeting ends, but don't want to keep people just to keep people. So, all right, a few more seconds. No more questions coming up. So we'll be sending the slides. We'll do follow-ups with all the attendees. Thank you for coming on board. For the panelists, thank you very much. Very informative, very good presentations. If you need JMS units because your project is running into needing them and you have extended lead times, we actually have them in stock. So the lead times will go down to whatever shipping days we would need to ship them to your site. So, yeah, it's true. Anyway,
Well,
sign up for the current commercial newsletter. Yes, Chuck, you had something to say?
I just wanted to thank BayWa, you and Jessica for having us today, and then also all of the participants that joined us. I saw at one point we had about 45, and we appreciate always being able to talk about SMA and our partnership with BayWa and the products that we can help service your customers, because your customers are our customers. So whatever we can do to help you, we will do. And so please, all of you that are on the call, reach out to Tyson, Justin, or the sales rep in your area. Feel free to contact me directly as well, and we'll make sure that we support you the way that you would like to be supported. So thank you very much. Thanks, Guillaume.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks all. All right, y'all have a good day, huh?
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you
so much. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.